In this video, I will be sharing with you my method of back basting. Back basting is a form of needle turn applique. It is very fast and has a couple of major advantages. Besides the speed, it is also an extremely accurate method of applique. Patches will be exactly where they need to be when you baste them in place. The second big advantage is that you don't have any extra paraphernalia. You don't have to have Mylar templates or overlays. You don't have to use freezer paper or spray starch. All you will need is your background fabric and your applique fabric, a pencil, and a good light source. Our journey begins with our pattern. At this point, you need to study the pattern very carefully. It is important to remember that your finished project will be the reverse of what you see on your pattern. If you feel that you need to reverse the pattern so that it looks the opposite, do so now. Reverse the paper pattern. If there's nothing on the back, there's a really quick, easy way to do that. Just flip it over, take your pencil or pen, and retrace the lines. Now it's the reverse. Fast and easy. Once you have done that, take your background fabric, place it wrong side up. This is the wrong side, not the side that we will see with our finished product. Very important. Do not draw on your front. Draw only on the back side of your background fabric. Take a number 2 lead pencil and retrace it. For this particular video, I chose to use a Pigma pen instead because my lines show up so much better. Here I have traced the pattern onto the wrong side of my background fabric. This side will be the right side. This is the wrong side. Once our pattern has been traced, it's time to place our applique fabric on the front. But where to do that? I didn't want to go find a light box, and so I grabbed my pins, and the pin method of placement was born. For this method, I am going to place pins directly on the drawn pencil line. All I need to do is the outermost points, although for this video and many times I do go to the trouble of almost outlining the entire heart. It really isn't necessary to do the whole thing really tight, just enough to give the general idea of where the heart should be on the front so that we know where to place our applique fabric. One more over here, and I'll flip it over, and you'll see fairly easily. You may begin your back basting at any point around your heart. We do want to do the bottom heart first because it slides underneath the top heart. So we look and do the bottommost patches in our applique first. I'm going to start here, totally arbitrary spot. I pick one and go with it. I have my thread and needle. I'm going to come in, and because this slides underneath the other heart, I'm just going to put in, about 3 or 4 fairly good size basting stitches. You may or may not knot your fabric. It is absolutely personal choice. You can do whatever you prefer. In this case, I'm just going to leave it unknotted at the end and just leave a little tail here. Okay, then here's my first spot that will be turned under. Remember, the edge we just basted is not going to be turned under. It slides underneath the top heart. I take one short little stitch here. Then I'm going to turn my fabric here and begin. Now I'm going to be using what I call the quick prep stitch. It is a special basting stitch, and there is a reason for that. it is going to produce a line that is fairly continuous. So let's look at this. We're going to come in here, and about 1 to 2 threads ahead of where the thread comes out, I'm going to take and go straight down through. I don't want to go in at an angle. I'm going to go straight down through and come forward anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. This is difficult to do just looking through the camera here, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not looking at my actual work, but I'm looking at the video of it. So please be patient with me as I deal with that. 1 to 2 background threads ahead of where my basting thread comes out. I'm going to go straight in and forward anywhere from 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch, depends on the size of your project. 1 to 2 1 or 2 background threads ahead of where my thread came out. I take another little stitch, pull them up, and I'll do the next one. I'm going to go 1 to 2 basting threads. I keep saying that wrong. 1 to 2 background threads ahead of where my thread came out, and take another little stitch. These stitches are going to be very short on the back side, as you can see. But when I flip them over, they are producing a line that is almost continuous. Let me show you one that has been completed. Here is my first heart that I have completed. Please notice the difference in basting stitches. The area that slides underneath the other heart has been basted in long stitches. When I trim this, I will know not to turn that edge under. So I will make the seam allowance just a little bit wider than I normally would do. This area is the area that I will be turning under and stitching. I have used the quick prep stitch for that. As I showed you before, on the back, they're just little tiny stitches, but on the front, there are much longer stitches. Our quick prep stitch has produced a line that is almost continuous. We can very clearly see where we turn under our edges for applique, as opposed to where we have an edge that slides underneath another patch. In the next video in this series, I'll show you how to trim and begin our applique. If you would like additional information about this method, feel free to join my Facebook group. It is a private group. You will be asked a question. Once you answer the question, I will approve you, and you will be able to go into the files section. In the files section, I have a series of lessons that will take you through my quick prep applique, and it will give you some additional information that I don't have time for in this video. Look for my next video in this series to learn how to turn this under. See you there.